All right. So, hi, Kay.
Hi, Crystal.
Welcome back. So today I thought we would talk a bit about staffing and why are my staff not caring anymore. So I feel like it's a big topic, and staffing's always a tricky topic.
Yep.
But I feel like sometimes my staff just don't care anymore. It's a big one, and it does happen a bit. And thank you for joining us again. And this is Kay and Crystal. We do Small Business Sorted podcasts, and we just help bring clarity and less chaos to you and your business by talking about a variety of interesting subjects that, we find interesting, and things that we come across on a regular basis that we'd like to share on or just chat about. You may relate to some of them as well.
Yep.
So starting off with it, with this topic, I actually had something quite close to my heart, and that I've seen a lot. I actually had this has happened like 3 times last year with clients, where one of the phone calls that I got is that I really hate my business. I hate my business. I don't want to be in here anymore. I just want you to help me get out. And I go, great, I can help you with that. So, and then we dig around and we dig so why do you hate your business? And one of the things that kept popping out for me was that I've got a really difficult staff member to deal with. And this staff member was actually, I guess, it's not bullying the boss, but they basically were not doing what the boss asked them, and they basically were doing whatever they wanted, and basically were cheeky back or downright rude back, and were actually causing a whole big culture problem in their business, to the point where the business owner actually was feeling really despondent and quite depressed around his business, didn't know how to deal with the situation, and was wanting out. He just wanted to close the business down and check out. And the business was profitable. The business was going relatively well. But he just felt that he just didn't want to go on anymore around that.
What did he do?
What did we do?
Tell him to do?
So, well, I guess the conversation was, okay, well, why do you have him? Is he happy there? Because if he's behaving like this, maybe he's lost respect for you, clearly. And maybe he's unhappy, but he just doesn't know how to leave. Or maybe he's expecting you to fire him or ask him to leave. Or maybe some people like better boundaries, you know. And yes, that was the conversation. So I said, why do you have him? And then it ended up being it was a friend of a friend's son or something like that, and which complicated it again. Yes. But I think when I said, you are the boss. You are the boss.
Something click.
You actually don't have to have people in your business that aren't working for you. You know, you shouldn't
have people that you don't like or you can't work with.
Yeah, and you can choose to have better people in your business, and you do have the right as a boss or as a business owner to, if people are causing a lot of problems in the business, you got that choice, and you do have to have that difficult conversation. And I'm just wondering whether it's the difficult conversation part that is difficult for people to do.
Absolutely. I know myself. I do not like difficult situations. I remember right at the beginning of my career when I worked for a corporate, and I had a little girl, and she was only a little girl, and I had to fire her. And it's the worst thing I have ever had to do. And she almost threw up in front of me. She was so upset.
So she didn't see it coming?
She didn't see it coming, but it's sad because she wasn't the right person for the job in the first place.
Yeah.
So I guess that was my fault for employing someone who...
The wrong person?
Yeah, she wasn't qualified enough.
Yeah,
to do the job, and therefore,
do you think we hire people because we like them?
Yes, absolutely. Although I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah,
It's I'm not an HR person. I'm just
actually, that's
business
probably a good
owner.
disclaimer for both. We're both not HR people, but we've both had a bit of
But,
experience in this.
But obviously, you've got to look at their qualifications. I think as I've moved through life and business, and now I've got my own business, you learn to look at the qualifications, and the job spec is important. You have to know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
What does the person need to do? And I think you'd probably be amazed that there's a lot of businesses don't have the job specs, don't have what they need to manage the staff, manage the job.
Well, if we go back to that story, the one thing that I asked them was, okay, so what was his role? And he was, let's just call him a plumber on the job, right? A qualified plumber. And he was, and I said, do you have a description of what he's got to do? He goes, he's just got to do his work that I give him, I said, okay. And I said, but what about how to work with your business? How do you have something around that, how to work with me type of thing, or how do we work in our business? And he said, no. And he goes, but what would you put in something like that? So then I said, you would put in things like, I want you to wear my uniform. I want you to have good customer service. What does that mean, good customer service? That you turn up on time, that you are polite, that you explain what you're there to do, that you that when you finish the job, you let them know that you finished. Clean up, clean up. Oh, we just had somebody at our house that left the most awful mess at our place, and was doing blinds and that. I was just like, oh man, you really want them to clean up, leave the place better than when they see it. Take your rubbish away with you, and let them know when you're finished, right?
Yep.
And then send that information into the office. How did what they did, the hours that they worked. That has to be in there. Another thing was in there getting on with your peers, and setting. I guess that how to work with us is setting up the bumper bars on what's acceptable behaviour in your business, right? And turning up on time. Yeah. Turn up to work, right? Yeah. Book your holidays in advance. We shut for 2 weeks over Christmas. You're expected to take that 2 weeks. Other leave, you put in best in, first in, best dressed type of thing. The other, I don't know, what else would you put in that?
All sorts of things, but including what you've said. But I think the point is setting expectations. Yeah. The employee has to know what you expect of them.
Yes.
And probably in a lot of situations, they're not really sure.
Yeah.
Setting expectations is, and that's where your documentation comes in.
I think if you put yourself in that employee, like he was really, I think potentially the business owner may have been a little disorganized, and probably didn't have the job set up right for them. May have got the materials later than he should. There might have been a bit of frustration around that as well. And I suppose that communication, they'd never had a staff meeting ever, right? And there was 4 of them, I think. So having those regular staff meetings, it builds culture, it builds team, it builds expectations. You could talk about, what a good review. You could talk about warranties. You could talk about safety. All the things that you could do in any business, right? It doesn't just have to be a trade business. But staff like that, and staff like to feel like that. Paying your staff on time can also cause an unhappy staff if they don't know when their pay is coming in, right? True. Yeah. Paying their super is. I mean, I know that's a legal compliance thing, but some people don't. So we did that, and we got him to sit down with his team and go. We wrote out that what's expected of your sheet. We also got him to have a one-to-one with that person and actually have that difficult conversation, and actually say, we've just noticed this bad behaviour, and start writing down all the things that they're doing that's of not good behaviour. Sit down with him in like a fairly formal meeting. Send an email and say, we're going to have a meeting in the office. So it's like a review of where we are. And then you give them the opportunity to put forward what they think as well. And the interesting thing was, from out of that meeting between the two of them, it ended up being that the new apprentice that had come in wasn't doing a great job and wasn't lifting the game, and he felt like all the cleaning up and all the getting the site ready up and down, beginning and end of the day, that he was doing all of that and the apprentice wasn't really doing much of a job, and he felt that the boss hadn't really spoken much to him, and so he took that aggression and frustration out on him. The other thing, that there was a whole lot of stuff happening behind the scenes in his personal life. I think his mum and dad had split up, even though he was older. That had really impacted him, and his girlfriend and him weren't doing well either. So he was bringing all of that to work as well, and then maybe taking it out on the boss of the business. So it was just really having that conversation, getting clear, setting those guidelines, and it turned this person around. And then eventually he did leave because his behaviour with what was happening at home was still impacting the business. This anger management, I think, was probably more of the problem. But then what ended up happening was, after he'd done all of those things, he actually started to really love his business again.
Good.
He really is excited about his business
Good.
again.
So it just goes to show that you can turn things around.
Yeah.
I guess.
So you know, your initial reaction is to run away from the problem.
Yeah.
But and I heard a saying the other day, and I don't know if I read it, but I heard it twice in 1 week, and it really resonated with me. And that was that in order to be respected, you don't want to be liked in business.
True.
You want to be respected in business.
Yes.
And they said one of the ways you get respect, not from being liked, is being able to have a difficult conversation in a nice way.
Yep. I like to be liked. Sorry to go against all your rules, Crystal.
Jimmy, my husband, he likes to be liked as well.
To be honest, I never liked managing staff. I don't have any staff anymore, but that's just me. I did manage them. They all liked me. Yeah.
But that's important
We're all
to
different,
people,
aren't we?
you know.
Yeah, we're all different.
I think it's a human thing to want to be liked, right? I mean, you want your staff, and I guess the way we like our staff to be happy, sometimes we treat them more like a family, and family cultures are great in a business. However, when you want to get that respect from your staff, and I think respect is the word here that we're looking for.
Yes.
You know, if your staff don't care, is that a lack of respect problem?
I think so.
Sounds like it, doesn't it, when you hear that?
Yep.
And so it's about, and who would have thought that having a difficult conversation is actually a way to get respect from anybody?
Yeah.
And that, they reckon, is outside of business as well, in your life as well. But being able to, I guess, have your boundaries, have boundaries in the business, and put bumper bars on them.
Yep.
So you can do that.
What about knowing when to employ that first staff member, when to employ another staff member? I think a lot of people probably leave it too late.
Yeah.
Although I'm thinking of a colleague of ours, started his own business. He was the only person in the business. And I know he talked about the fact that he was going to need some help. But the question is the timing of getting that right, because obviously he can't afford to get that extra staff member unless he's got the extra money coming in.
Yeah.
But then you want to invest in them before you get the extra clients. So that's sort of like a catch-22. What's your view on that?
It's a big one, isn't it?
Yes.
Because if you don't have the money to pay for them, you sort of feel like, oh, what am I going to do here? But then you're turning away customers probably because you don't have the capacity as well, right?
Exactly.
So the best thing to do is to put somebody on part-time.
Okay. Yeah.
So you could try 1 or 2 days a week. You know you've got enough work to feed them. And then you take on those new clients and fill up your 2 days. So you feed them first. Yep. And I think what people, when I say feed them, I mean you make sure there's enough money coming in the business to be able to pay for them. But then what that does is it creates a sense of urgency then for you to go and find new business and to get those extra, inquiries that you might be having or work that you've been turning down, to take advantage of that. And then when you feel comfortable enough that those 2 days, and you go for a month or 2 or 3 with that, then you can add another day or you can hire another 2-day person.
Yes.
Some businesses I've heard where they can actually share an employee. So whether it's an admin or a trade or like somebody, a subcontractor who might have, or a partner who's got experience in IT or I guess.
I think that happens a lot with outsourcing.
Yes, outsourcing.
I know I shared
right.
an employee effectively with other bookkeepers.
Yeah.
They work for me a few hours a week or days a week, and somebody else for the other days a week. I think that happens more with outsourcing.
Potentially.
Outsourcing overseas
than
it does in Australia, but I suppose I don't really know.
And I guess that's how subcontractors work as well.
Yeah.
So maybe not a part-time, you could put a subcontractor on.
Yeah. Often subcontractors are more expensive, right? So
Yes.
I guess you've got to weigh that up in your
Yes.
decision making.
But they could be more skilled.
True.
And why you're trying to get used to having someone in the business. And I guess the one thing people always say is I find it really hard to manage a person in the business. So, or getting used to managing a person in the business. I guess that perfectionism in people can come out, can't it?
Yeah. I was just thinking about something else that's gone out of my head again.
That perfection. So I think often our expectations is that we want that staff member to do exactly how we do it.
Yeah, true.
And that can put a lot of unfair expectations in. Also, just in hiring those people that you hired, I know I've done a fair amount of hiring, and it's a skill you learn and you get better at it.
Yes.
Your adverts can get better at it, but it's always good to have a go. And I feel like with staff, when you first start them out, that where things go really, really wrong, and I just got another client the other day who has they had 2 admin, that one's left for various reasons of her own. There's one left, and now she's feeling the pressure and a bit overworked. But what has happened there is now her entitlement has got really high, and she's not coming in on time. She's coming in when she wants to come in. She's working from home when she wants to work from home. She's doing the work how she wants to do the work. She's setting the priorities in the business. And when we broke this down, it was a case of, as well, again, that the rules of what needs to happen, the priorities of what needs to be done. The business owner had it in his head as to how he wanted it done, but what she was doing was how she wanted it to do. And so he thought she wasn't caring, but actually she was caring. She was just doing it from the way she thought the priority should be. So it was a case of having that talk again.
Communication.
Good word, Kay.
I think that's a takeaway from this conversation. Don't you? Communicate.
Good word.
Communicate with people.
Yes. So, and then it was about getting clear. So then we introduced I Love Asana. I know you know I Love Asana.
Oh, Asana,
the to-do
yes.
list, you think? I know. I love it. Very easy. The free version's great as well. I'm not being sponsored. But it's you got the, you can list all the priorities. So I have like a list of what has to happen weekly or on a Monday or on a Tuesday. Then I have stuff that has to happen, like the daily tasks. What's the most important? And I list them 1 to 10. You could put the person's name who's going to do it, and you put the time that it needs to be done, and then they tick it off, and then it repeats itself, right? So you're not writing out this new list every day, and then you can log in, they log in, everybody knows what's happening. You could have a 5. What really worked in the end was having that 5 or 10 minute meeting every morning, going through the list, what was outstanding from yesterday that perhaps they couldn't get to, what was the priorities for today, like maybe there was a whole lot of stuff that just come in that were important to get out. And then listing them in priority for that person to follow. That made then the business owner feel like they were getting things done that they wanted, so their frustration level dropped.
Yes.
Whether she was working from home or in the
Yes.
office didn't really
Doesn't
matter,
really
right?
matter, no.
And then she felt better and she was feeling like she was getting things done and she was getting more positive feedback from the boss, who was probably not treating her all that well. It was his frustration was probably overflowing to her. Plus, then he had the conversation to say, when you do come in the office, our start time is 7:30 or 8 o'clock, whatever it was. I'd really like you to be here on time. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And she then started to come in, and then everybody, the whole situation calmed down. She then didn't look like she wasn't caring, but I think she was caring, but she was just frustrated as well.
Plus, the business owner knew where she was at, what she had done, what she hadn't done, because of the
Yes.
the lists or the to-do
That's
lists.
right. And you could just add them in during the day and just go, and then just send a phone
Yeah.
call, have a phone call around it.
And
you
I
know?
guess that avoids possibly micromanaging people.
Yes.
They've got a list of what they need to do. They tick it off. They've done it. Managers doesn't have to ask them every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Where are you? Have you done it?
Yeah.
I know I never liked being micromanaged. I don't
No,
think,
me neither.
in fact, I think you could say it's probably one of the major reasons for people leaving corporate jobs, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not saying small business owners, because I don't think small business owners actually have time to micromanage.
They don't,
staff.
or they add to their time
Yes.
by micromanage. Then they feel like they can't get their stuff done because they feel like they have to micromanage.
Yeah.
What do you reckon one of the biggest causes of micromanaging is?
Uncertain, just a manager who can't manage.
Yeah, delegating.
Yeah, who can't delegate, who can't manage the staff. It's the only reason that I can think of people micromanaging. What
Maybe-
about
Maybe no processes.
Yes, lack of processes as well.
Maybe it's not written
Procedures.
down.
Yes.
It's in their head, but
Yes.
the poor staff members doesn't know quite what's in the head.
Yep. Yep.
Maybe you
Yeah.
don't have a good system.
No.
Like a job management system or a CRM or something.
Yep. Another thing I know I struggled with when I was, well, still am a bookkeeper, but when I had staff, was what level of person qualification should I employ? Do I employ somebody who's just not very well qualified? Or do I get somebody who's much better qualified who can possibly do more and take more of the load off me?
Yeah.
So the more qualified, so they'd be a qualified BAS agent, for example.
Yeah.
That person would take off so much work from me. However, what I opted to do was actually have more of the lower level staff who are doing the number crunching. However, the higher level stuff I still had to do. So I think there's probably a lot of business owners out there who hire low-level staff, if that's what you want to call them,
Yeah.
not so well qualified, when it would actually be better to have, rather than having two not so well qualified, one person who was really well qualified who could actually
Yeah.
assist in running the business, maybe.
What's that saying? A poor man pays twice. Have you heard that saying
No,
before?
but I've heard if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Is that the same sort of thing? Is it the same? I don't know.
I think it might be the same thing. But what ends up happening is if you go too low class and they really are out of their depth,
Yeah.
it's actually really unfair on that staff member too,
Yeah.
because it's actually really, really stressful for them. And then it's really, really stressful for you,
Yeah.
right? And I've done this before too. And I think the best thing you could do for both of you is to get them out of your business
Yeah.
really fast, because not only will they find a job where they're more suited, and your stress levels and your wanting to rather sell the business than fire them scenario goes out the window then too. And I think, it's okay to hire bad initially because that's how you learn, right? So, you've got to, as they say, a poor man pays twice. So if you pick the cheapest one on the list, or you hire someone who's happy to accept the lowest, make sure their skill set is right. If you just paid a few dollars more, you might get that skill level that is perfect for your business. And then when you get that right and you have a really good worker that does what you need them to do and takes it off your plate,
Yeah.
so allows you
It's
to do what you need to do.
lovely.
Excuse me,
Absolutely
how good is
lovely.
that?
I know,
on
it's so
a
good. It's so good. It's so
It's the
good.
best feeling in the world, isn't it,
It
in the
is.
business?
It is.
And when you have staff that care and you care, it makes all the difference in the world in a business too,
Yes,
doesn't it? It's
it
just
does.
such a good feeling, but it seems like sometimes it's one of those things that feels like it's always out of reach, you
Yep.
know. But
Yep.
I always say when you hire someone new, you've always got them on probation. And as we said before, we're not HR people, but you always have a probation period when you hire, and you actually don't need any reason at all in Australia, that is, to actually tell them that you just have to say, I'm really sorry, this isn't working out. And that can be across the whole level of your business. So it's actually not that risky to hire somebody that you may try, but they may not be right. The next one, you're going to get a whole lot better. So don't beat yourself up and say, I'll never do that again, or it's the worst thing I've ever done.
Yep.
It's keeping them for too long
Yes. True.
is
Yes.
probably is where all that problem comes in. They
Something
don't
just-
care about
So it's
my
popped
business.
into my mind. Always, when a staff member leaves, get them to write the procedures for the new person. At least at that point, they should already be there. But I know that that's always useful.
Yeah.
If you get them to write down what they do, and then they can pass it on to the next person. Saves you writing the procedures. I hate writing procedures.
Yeah.
Don't you hate writing procedures? I used to have to
You
write
write them
procedures.
once and that's it, and you just
But I
make
did
adjustments.
I
Yeah.
did it because it's important. What about overtime?
Yes, well, overtime is an interesting thing. It's if you've got the work and you've got the overtime, then that's a good problem to have, isn't it? And your customers need that work done, and you're charging the right amount, then it should be happy days for everybody, right?
It should be, but does the employee want to do the overtime?
Well,
Are you
that's the
forcing
question.
them to do the overtime?
If you like in retail, that's always a tricky thing because that's your busiest time. There's often the overtime hours. If you're in a sort of Monday to Friday business, I guess it's always checking in with that employee if they are okay. And why are they doing overtime? Are they working
Yes,
too slow
that's
maybe
true. That's true.
as well?
Yeah.
The thing with staff, I think, is when they don't care, it often comes back. Well, what did a manager say to me once when we used to run service stations? And I was a franchisee, and we had one of the franchise or sales managers came in, and I don't know, there was something going on with some of my staff, and he was saying, the fish rots from the head, Crystal. Have you ever heard?
I've heard of that. I'm just not sure exactly what it means, but I have heard it.
So it's like, I went, oh, God, that sounds so bad. I'm not quite sure what he meant by that either. But I was fairly young and probably a little out of my depth and never really hired. I think we had 30 staff. I don't think I'd ever managed that many people. But what it meant was that if your staff are not doing what you want them to do, and if your level of cleanliness and your level of what was not being done, that actually it always comes back to you
I know
as the
what that
business
means
owner,
now.
right?
You as the business owner of the head.
So
with
the fish rots
rotten
from the
fish.
head. That means that the head of the business has not set them
Yeah.
up for success.
Yes.
Because if you had set them up for success, that means then you would have systems in place to be able to, I guess, performance manage them. You
Yeah.
would catch them early. So, and he was right, I didn't have all the systems and processes written out properly. And it sounds so boring to have that. But it's such an important thing because that's what you hold your staff accountable to is, and if you as the business owner know how to do it, you've been doing it for 1,000 years probably, So all you've got to do is really just write down everything while you're doing it. You could, with all the AI around at the
Yes.
moment, you can just talk it like, oh, well, I'm just typing in this now, then I'm going to go to 0 and add it in 0, then I'm going to go back over here and add it in here. You could just talk to it as you're doing it. And you've also got that Loom where you can actually have those
Do
screen
videos.
grabs and you can
Yep.
actually just do it while you're doing it. You just set those up.
Yeah.
So it can be relatively easy to do. And you can do videos of how to do that particular job if you're in a sort of
I did
fixing
that
things.
for
Did
my-
you?
Yeah, I did that quite a bit for
your
bookkeeping
sub,
business.
yeah.
I actually did it more for clients, to be honest, than staff. But yeah, and
that's
I do
good.
it now for clients because they're doing their own bookkeeping, so they need to know
Yeah.
how to do things. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
a
you
good way
screen
of-
grab it on Loom.
Yeah, it's a
Loom,
really good
Loom's
way.
very good too.
Yep.
So I think going back to that, often staff's bad behaviour, and yes, if you've got someone that's stealing from you or buying stuff or using your petrol card or whatever, I guess there is that element of bad behaviour from a staff where they really are disrespecting you. However, nearly, I would say, out of all the conversations I've had, about 95% of all the things that happen with bad staff have come back to that the management or the owner of the business hasn't done a great job of, sure, they set them up right, but then they haven't done a great job of checking in, making sure they're doing the job, having those regular one-on-one chats, how are you going, checking to see what's happening in their life. Maybe processes need to be changed and they've got a better way of doing it. Have you thought about, maybe updating it? There's, all those things, your behavior. Are you too busy to have the time for them? Do you just, always out and never there? So they're just having to always scramble to find you. Are you very disorganized again?
Yeah.
Do you have a bad attitude and you're bringing your problems to work and treating them with disrespect? But I think as a business owner, we always have to hold the mirror back to ourselves and have a look at ourselves, because there's probably nearly always something that we're doing. And if you're too nice...
It's not good to be too nice, I know. I didn't say you were wrong, Crystal. I just told you what I was like.
And I see this all the time.
Yeah.
People really like to be nice and want to treat people really nice, and hopefully they'll respond by being nice back.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I think the world works better with respect.
Yes.
And respect is only gained with those difficult conversations in mind.
Yes.
And the sooner you learn how to have those, the better. What else is there around this topic?
I think we've probably covered most of it.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about, some of us use recruitment agencies to recruit the staff.
Yeah.
And even to hiring and firing staff. It's getting out of those difficult situations.
Yeah.
Which isn't wrong.
No.
The professionals probably, do a better job. They know all the rules. They are aware of, everybody's feelings, I guess. So it's not wrong to use a professional for those. And
The worst situation, sorry for jumping in there. I'll put a silence in now. The worst situation, I guess, that most business owners are most fearful of, that stop you from hiring or keeping someone when they are way past their due date, so to speak. We're full of sayings today, aren't we?
I don't know if that's a good saying. But
Well, you know what I mean. Your business
Yes.
might have outgrown their skills too, which
Yes.
you do see
Yes, yes,
occasionally.
yes.
Is that often and I've just lost my thought on that. Let me think about it. What were we just saying? We can cut this out.
we'll have to cut it out, I think.
Yeah, it's fine.
'Cause I've gone blank as well.
What was I just saying?
Recruiting staff.
The fearfulness. So the reason why business owners are fearful often of things is that whole fair work and ending up in front of, or the staff member taking you to fair work, or it gets so nasty that it ends up being in this big dragged out thing where you've got to get HR professionals in, and it ends up in fair work courts and discussions and everything like that, and then you've got to pay them out for whatever. I think the worst cases of that, when that happens, normally, and we come back to that word communication again, is that often the relationship and the ways of correcting it were long missed along the road. And whether we chose to ignore them, or potentially this person wasn't a great fit for the business, we hired badly maybe, or something's changed in that person's life that we weren't aware of, something's changed in your life that you are aware of but you didn't know it was impacting. Maybe the business has changed, or maybe that sense of entitlement has got so bad in the business as well, that I feel that the if you'd had those regular check-ins and those regular conversations and those performance management meetings, things like that could have been stopped well before.
Yes.
Well, I'm taking you to court now.
Yep.
You know, see you later.
Yep.
And I think we all hear those horror stories, and it can be very stressful on the business and on the staff member too. That I think that word communication, if we do these little things right up front, chances of those happening are minimal. And as a business owner, you have a right, right,
Yeah.
to have good staff in your business. You have a right for that.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Yep. I think today's keyword is
communication again.
Yep.
Just on an end note, entitlement in staff. Why do you think people get entitled? Because we all have those. That's when they think they're better, and they start telling you how to run that business. Why?
I don't know. I've never felt entitled. Not
Yeah.
that is a reason why I shouldn't know. They feel they know better. I don't know why they would feel I don't know. I really don't know. Struggling to find.
Did you ever see that in any of your clients' businesses where they complained about staff? Not
I don't
really.
think I did.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times. Whether we use the word entitled or not,
Well,
maybe a different word.
I guess in some businesses, the staff do know, and this is probably where it comes from, they know more than the business owner knows. Therefore, and that can be difficult for some people to...
Yeah. They're not appreciated then.
No. And some business owners buy businesses. So they
Yes.
don't... Sometimes they don't know anything about the business. The staff do. So at that point, they may feel as though, for whatever reason, they've been overlooked. Going back to me, I was a finance manager. I thought I was going to get the job as the financial controller. They brought somebody in and filled that position over my head. I must admit, I never felt entitled, but I certainly knew a lot more than they did. But I'm a nice person, so
You like to be
I
liked.
must. So, but you could see in that situation where somebody, if they've been overlooked for a promotion, maybe they'd feel.
I think that's, you know, when you have staff leave, that's probably another good question is why do staff leave you? Probably for all the above things that we've discussed, you know, no processes, systems,
Yes. Yes.
hiring the wrong person, maybe they just don't feel right either. But I also think it's those, if you do hire someone else and you give them more responsibilities or they don't have the experience that you have and yet somehow they are being favoured more, I guess, is that could be difficult as well.
Yeah.
Money, as they say in most research and when you speak to a lot of people, money is the last thing that people will actually leave you for. Although it does happen, you know, if you're not paying them, you have to be paying people right as well, right?
Yeah.
For that to happen as well. And sometimes entitlement can come in from them being there for 15 years or 20 years and the business, they have been actually managing the business for a long time and maybe the business owner is starting to get more in retirement or is just relinquished control to this person.
Yes.
And then when they've decided to take it back, this person's go, well, hang on a second, I've done this for the last 5-10 years. Why now? You know, so then that could be a very different reason for that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, great topic, Kay.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we'll have a checklist on this, on staff, how to hire staff. We'll have a checklist on that properly. And also on, you know, how to manage staff. And, you know, if you do have someone who you feel doesn't care in the business, let's make a checklist for that as well.
Yeah.
So that it's always interesting for us to go back and, you know, it's always good to review what we're doing in a business. That's, I think, also a key word that comes out of it. And I guess the key word for you today?
Communication.
Communication.
Did you have
I
to
think
ask?
for me as well, it's having that difficult conversation. Respect equals
Respect, that's true,
having
that's another one.
difficult conversations. And I
Respect.
think that's important
Respect.
to remember.
Being liked.
Being nice and being liked. Alrighty.
All
Thanks.
right.
See you on the next one.
Okay, thank you.